Hello dear students, I am Dr. S.Pagar, Associate Professor, Department of Geography. Dear students, I welcome all of you in this online video lecture series on behalf of Maratha Vidya Prasarak Samajas, CARE Arts, Veg Commerce and AM Science, popularly known as Catechism College Nasik. Dear students, this is our M.Sc Geography Purpose Semester 1. Today we have a subject for discussion, that is Principle of Economic Geography, and the code of this subject is GGUT-113. Today we have chapter number 3 for discussion, that is Resources, and in this chapter we have a subtopic, that is Importance of Non-Conventional Energy Resources for Sustainable Development. Dear student, in our previous lecture we have discussed detailed information about significance of human resources in economic development. Dear student, for today's lecture we have a study objective or learning objective, that is very simple, to discuss the importance of non-conventional energy resources for sustainable development. Dear student, to understand the importance of non-conventional resources for sustainable development, it is very important to understand the meaning of both terms. Both terms means non-conventional energy and sustainable development. If you want to correlate or the importance of non-conventional resources with respect to the sustainable development, then it is very important to understand the meaning of both these concepts. Dear student, there are two types of energy resources. One is conventional source of energy resources and second is non-conventional source of energy resources. So let us discuss first the conventional source of energy are the source that are commonly in use since long time. They can be existed due to the overconsumption. For example, coal, petroleum and natural gas. You know that student. These source of energy resources, that is the coal, petroleum, natural gas, we are using since a long period. There is a continuous consumption all part of the world of these sources for various purpose. It may for domestic purpose, it may for the industrial purpose, or maybe in the other sector. But dear student, you know that the use of coal, oil and gas is dangerous and can be polluting, and these fossil fuels are non-renewable. If we use this continuously, then definitely it's not going to remain for a long period. Within next 50 to 100 years, it may be possible all the storage of this coal, oil and gas might be exhausted or maybe going to end. So therefore, it's very important to use them very carefully. And one thing is there, when we use these resources or coal, oil or gas, they are really very dangerous for ecological balance and environmental balance. They are responsible for pollution. They are responsible for global warming. And therefore, it is very important to use them very properly, and even there should be the alternative for use of these energy resources. As we use up easily accessible source of coal, oil and the gas, extracting them become harder, more expensive and more dangerous for environmental balance. I just mentioned about the ecological balance also. Therefore, student, it is very important to avoid the maximum use of this conventional source of energy, and instead of that, if we use the non-conventional source of energy, then definitely it's going to sustain for a long period. So therefore, here we just going to discuss about the how these non-conventional energy resources are useful for sustainable development. Dear student, you know that the burning of this fossil fuel is main source of the greenhouse gases, and you know that when the percentage of the greenhouse gases is increased in atmosphere, then definitely it will be very harmful for the ozone layer also, and that responsible for the depletion of the ozone layer, and also it responsible for the global warming. Dear student, let us, one thing is very important. The non-conventional source of energy refer the sources that are identified few decades ago An alternative to the conventional source of energy is non-conventional energy source. Therefore, it is very important to use the non-conventional source of energy is very important. And definitely, when we started to use this non-conventional energy source of resources, then definitely we can minimize the use of conventional source of energy resources, and we also indirectly avoid the global warming, depletion of the ozone layer, and also ecological balance we can able to maintain. So therefore, it is a very important to use the non-conventional source of energy resources. That is very important. So you know that, student, so this cannot be, this non-conventional source of the energy not going to exist if we use, for example, solar energy, wind energy, tidal energy, bioenergy. These are the source of energy known as a non-conventional source of energy, and we have to use it if we want to keep the ecological balance and environmental balance for a long period. It means for the sustainable development, this use of these sources is very important. Dear student, you know that an alternative to conventional source of energy is the non-conventional source of energy, and that achieved a popularity in the recent year all part of the world. The energy can be obtained from the various sources such as the sun, the wind, the biological waste, hot spring, tide, and so many things, and to generate the heat and power, and that we can use for the various purposes. Dear student, let us see what do we mean by sustainable development. The sustainable development is referred to as the idea that human beings should sustain by meeting their basic needs while also making sure that the future generation are able to meet their basic need also. Dear students, see, very important definition, very important sustainable development. If you want to explain this definition, then see again what are the important points that are included in sustainable development. The first thing that if we want to sustain these energy resources for a long period, then definitely we want to use the non-conventional source of the energy. We are talking about the sustainable development with respect to the energy resources. So dear student, whatever nowadays each and every country are using the lot of energy resources, but see, the idea of human being should be sustained for meeting their basic needs. Today, whatever basic need we are completing, it may be food, shelter, or maybe the clothes, whatever we are completing these days. But see, when we completing this all our needs, that time we always keep in our mind that whatever resources we are using today to fulfill our need, but keep in your mind that in the future generation also require same resources. So for that purpose, we have to use whatever resources very carefully, and those are going to exhaust after using, that we have to avoid. Instead of that, we have to use resources in such a way that can we sustain for a long period for the next generation. Therefore, in this definition, these two things are very important. That is, while using the while meeting our today's basic need, while also making sure that the future generation are also able to meet their basic need. And for that purpose, sustainable development is very important. See the another definition. Development which meet the need of present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own need is known as a sustainable development. So that is very important. We have to compromise. We have to compromise mean what? Nowadays we are using on a large scale the conventional source of energy like a petroleum or like a natural gas or maybe the coal. So instead of that, we avoid this use of these conventional resources, and instead of that, we have to use the non-conventional resources such as solar energy, tidal energy, or maybe the wind energy, or maybe the hydroelectricity. These are the very important sources. So we have to use these sources today and even the continue for next some year also. So dear student, economic development that conducted without depletion of the natural resources is known as the sustainable development. The sustainable development look to create a balance between the economic and environment and the social need. That is very important point, sir, dear student, because we have to keep our development. We have to carry out our economic development, social development. But see, there should not be any negative effect on the environment. There should not be any negative effect on the social need. And we have to keep always in our mind that next generation also require these resources. We have to sustain these resources up to the next generation also. And then the sustainable development is the only one way for development. We have to continue up to the next generation also. Dear student, to prevent the over exploitation of the conventional resources is very important. And instead of that, we have to encourage to use the non-conventional resources for fulfill the needs of the human being today, in present day, and also in the future also. Let us see, the energy sustainability is becoming the global necessity. Some non-conventional energy resources and the role in sustainable development. Let us discuss one by one. First, let us start with the solar energy. Dear student, you know that energy derived from the sun in the form of solar radiation is known as solar energy. Solar energy is defined as the energy obtained from the sun radiation. So dear student, this is a very important source of the non-conventional energy resources. And throughout the world, each and every country would like to use this. This is a very good alternative, very good source for the completion, the need of energy. We use the solar energy in our daily life through the various devices, which include the solar dryers, solar cooker, solar cell, solar refrigerator, radio, calculator, greenhouse, solar car, solar TV, solar boat, and so many things. We are using it, but what we can say, the use of these devices, these things should be the increase in each and every part of the world. And if you use these things again and again instead of the conventional resources, if we use these non-conventional resources, then definitely it will be helpful for the sustainable development. Solar energy have a potential for sustain so many generations need in the future. Therefore, there is a need to use it in all fields which require the energy. So for that purpose, the use of solar energy is very important. Dear student, it is a renewable resources. There is no pollution. When we use the solar energy, that time there is no pollution. Very little maintenance is required for the solar panel. It is very easy to install and it is available throughout the year. So therefore, the use of solar energy is very important. Today, China, USA, Japan, Germany, these are a country where the use of solar energy is increasing day by day on a large scale. Even in India also, we have the Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, and Kerala. These are the major states of India where use of solar energy is observed. There is a need to increase each and every part of the India and also in the world. If we are able to do this, then definitely this is very useful for the sustainable development of our country and also of the world. Let us see the second source of non-conventional energy, that is wind energy. Dear student, the term wind energy describes the process by which the wind is used to generate the mechanical power. The wind energy is the electricity energy obtained from the harnessing the winds. Dear student, the wind power is considered a renewable source of energy resources. It is a free and also a clean and renewable source of energy. Therefore, we have to use it on a large scale. Unlike fossil fuel, the production of electricity from the wind does not pollute our air, water, and land. That is very important. And we require, if you want to keep the ecological balance, then we have to avoid the use of fossil fuel. And instead of that, we give to encourage to the use of the non-conventional energy resources such as wind energy. Today, China, USA, Germany, United Kingdom, India are the major countries in the world where use of energy, the wind energy, is growing very fastly. And I'm sure that if the government of that particular country encourage to the people to use this source of energy on a large scale, then definitely the proportion of this energy also going to use in future also. So for sustainable development, the use of this energy, the wind energy, is very important. Dear student, let us see the tidal power or the tidal energy. See, the tidal energy is the form of hydropower that convert the energy obtained from the tide into the useful form of power, mainly electricity, is known as the tidal energy. Dear students, the tidal power is also known as a green energy source, at least in the term of emitting zero greenhouse gases. Therefore, this is also a very important source of energy for the sustainable development. It is a renewable and a green source of the energy because it reduces the it not generate the any type of the pollution. It's a very clean source of the energy, and it reduces the foreign importation of the fuel. That is very important. The use of tidal energy is found more in Russia, South Korea, and UK also. So there is a need to increase the percentage of the proportion of the tidal power energy in various fields. If it is increased, then definitely it will be also helpful for the sustainable development. In India, still it is not too much developed, but Gujarat state have a good potential for the use of tidal energy in India. So those states are located along the coastal side of ocean, then definitely in that state, like Maharashtra, we have Gujarat, we have Kerala, we have Tamil Nadu, we have Assam. These are the we have not Assam, but we have Orissa. These are the states where there is a lot of scope to generate the tidal energy, and definitely if you able to use it, able to generate it, produce it, then definitely it will be helpful for the sustainable development of our country. So dear student, then we have the other some non-conventional energy source. The first is biogas. You know that student, biogas is obtained from the gobar gas plant by putting the cow dung into the plant. Beside the producing the gas, this plant convert the gobar into the manure also. That is very useful for the organic farming. So it can be used for the cooking. I am talking about the biogas. It is also used for the cooking, lighting, and generating the electricity. So therefore, there is a need to increase the use of biogas in a large scale. Then we have the geothermal energy source. So dear student, geothermal energy involves using the heat from the under the ground, that is the earth internal part. That is very important. Dear student, geothermal energy is a power that we derive from the earth internal heart. It helps to reducing the global warming and does not create the pollution. That is very important characteristic of the geothermal energy. Dear student, nowadays the energy is used in over 20 countries of the world. The United States is the largest producer of the geothermal energy in the world. So dear student, so if we all use the all conventional energy source are going to finish within next 100 years due to the continuous use. I'm sure that after that there will not be any source energies, the conventional source of resources for using. It may be the coal, it may be the petroleum, mineral oil, or maybe the natural gas. I'm sure that are going to finish. So then we don't have the storage of these conventional energy sources for the use. So therefore, it's very important to avoid their overconsumption of these all conventional sources. Instead of that, we have to use non-conventional source of resources. Therefore, use of non-conventional energy resources is very vital for the sustainable development. And in future, each and every country should use the non-conventional resources if we want to sustain the development for a long period. That is sustainable development. And in this respect, the use of non-conventional research energy resources is very important. Dear student, this was about today's lecture. In this lecture, we discuss about the use of non-conventional energy resources in the economic, in the sustainable development. I am sure that this is a very simple topic. In next lecture, we are going to discuss our chapter number 4, that is economic development. So still, okay, goodbye.